So I'm going to be starting out a new topic on Christian dating. This will be a lot of like advice and also opinion on my part. There's not too much, Bible that goes into this, with the exception of, I would say First Corinthians 7, which deals with marriage and roles and stuff like that. Speaking of which, I would highly recommend watching the playlist I have on marriage and the roles God gave to us, and I'll link that up ahead. Um, so I'd highly recommend watching that first, then going to this. That way I don't have to keep explaining things, going over, wasting time. So yeah, First Corinthians 7 is probably the only biblical kind of thing I could bounce off of. And I was actually a family member of mine. Um, I'm not gonna say too much about her, but um, she actually just her boyfriend like broke up with her after like 6 years, and this is kind of sparking off the conversation I want to have with you guys regarding dating and stuff like that. Um, so long story short, that family member of mine is a professing Christian. I don't necessarily believe she truly is, but I leave it there. I pray that she's saved. But anyway, her fruit speaks otherwise. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, so she was dating this guy for like 6 years. Is just like totally didn't pursue anything. I mean, they didn't move in together, which I mean, like they, they weren't really talking about marriage and just stuff like that. So, um, as far as like buying a house together, that kind of thing. So, I don't know too much of their situation, so I don't want speak too much of that. But like, and so their relationship just kind of fizzled, and it didn't. There was like no purpose to it. You know what I mean? So it was, I don't know. From what I hear, it just seemed like the guy like led her on, for 6 years, and I mean, like, what a waste of 6 years of your life. You know what I mean? Like, that's a long time. Like, my kid is, 6 years old, so it's like that's a long, long time. But anyway, so the guy, like the family member is, um, professing Christian, and this guy is not, and so it's like, and this family member has been, professing Christian longer than I have been, and so like the situation I found myself in was I was already married to a Christian, and I was an unbeliever. And I always give my wife crap about that, like that was so stupid on her part, like that that was very foolish to marry an unbeliever, because the Bible talks about that, like you shouldn't be unequally yoked. You know what I mean? So very foolish, but I mean, I praise God that it worked out the way it did. But obviously, would not recommend that at all. Um, as far as dating, so right away off the bat, don't marry an unbeliever, don't date an unbeliever. Like, that's, as I just talked about with my family member, that's a complete waste of your time. Like, don't waste your time. You only have so many years on this earth. James talks about that. We are not promised tomorrow. So definitely don't waste your time with an unbeliever. That's um, obviously pray for that individual, that he would come, or he or she would come to repentance, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, seriously, like, what a complete waste of time. And so yeah, I started, you know I, I had the thought process of, you know this family member, like, if you're a professing Christian, Christianity should mean a lot to you, Jesus should mean a lot to you. So why on earth, like, I mean, you didn't have a gun to your head, like, you weren't, this isn't an arranged marriage, like, you had the choice of choosing someone. Why would you choose an unbeliever? So, like, that was kind of my, point of view, like, okay, like, hypothetically, if my wife were to die, God forbid, I love the marriage I'm in. I love all of this. I mean, I'm super content, super happy. But God forbid if something happened to my wife, like I would, if like keyword if I chose to marry someone else, date, court, that kind of thing. The very first thing that I would be worried, concerned about, hey, is this person a Christian? Is this significant other a believer in Jesus? You know what I mean? Like that's like the number one thing I would think of. Like, so I don't know. That kind of sparked these videos I plan on making. So it's like that's what I was talking about. The fruit, like you know what I mean. Like it just doesn't add up. Like okay, you keep saying you're a Christian and whatnot, but where's the evidence? Why would you pick a person who's an unbeliever and it just blew up in your face? You know what I mean? So anyway, moving on. So I kind of was thinking of the thought process, like what would happen if my wife, God forbid, died. Like everything in my past, like what I've done, I'm so ashamed of, and I went a certain route to find girls. You know what I mean? To date. So all the avenues I went through, like obviously I wasn't saved. So like I mean, I went through the dating process as an unsafe person. And so all the avenues I went through to find a girl like were not like absolutely not the right place, to go through. And so like I said, again, I'm thankful to God that, my situation worked out, but obviously, exception to the rule kind of thing. So, first off, I do want to say that, not everyone, you know, needs to get married. You know what I mean? There's like, eunuchs in the Bible. I actually have a friend, Bruce, who, he isn't, pursuing a relationship. And, Paul even talks about that in the Bible, saying that, you know, you know, I would recommend, I'm paraphrasing, I'll Lord willing, I'll go through this and other videos. I'll find a verse for it, but I'm paraphrasing. Like, I would highly recommend that you guys, just don't marry and just pursue Christ. You know what I mean? Like, give your all, to Christ, kind of thing. But if you're worried about fornication and things like that, then marry. So that was Paul's advice. So first off, I mean, there's it's I don't want to say rare, but it's uncommon, for people just to be content with oh, I'm gonna be a eunuch, and if that's what you even call it, you know what I mean, like I'm just gonna be single, you know what I mean. So that's some routes that people take, and you know what I mean, and like for me, like if that hypothetical situation happened where my wife were to die, maybe that's a route I would take. I don't know. Like today, I don't know what I would do. But that's a possibility. Because honestly, like I especially now, in 2022, like where are you gonna look? Like I've actually like listened to some videos on like Christian dating, and like a couple of videos that you talked about were like Christian dating apps, services kind of thing, Christian Mingle, that kind of stuff. And they're saying how it's basically, oh, this is no different than any other dating site. Well, no kidding, because I mean, it's not like, oh, this is foolproof. Like, oh, Christian Mingle, there's only going to be 100% genuine Christians there. No, no, it's not. There's believers, there's unbelievers, and then there's people who act like believers, but their fruit, they're unbelievers, and you the highest thing I can highly recommend is gain discernment. Like you absolutely, anyone, like men, women, doesn't matter. You absolutely need discernment in these kind of situations because people will fool you. I know because I was that person who tried to fool people. You know what I mean? Like I made myself, I'm basically a chameleon. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would talk to girls or whatever, and I would say, hey, I'd wait for them to, kind of give me a tell, and then I would say, oh, yeah, 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 I totally do that. Or, no, I don't do that at all. No, no, no. Yeah, I did it with my wife. Like, she's like, oh, like, do you drink? Oh, no, maybe socially, or, yeah, I was an alcoholic, you know what I mean? And so I'm lying my face off. I was totally lying. And, do you play video games? Oh, no, I don't do that. And behind her back, I'm, playing video games as I was addicted to that. And, you know what I mean? I looked at, pornography and behind her back, and I, again, I'm ashamed of all the stuff I've done, and it's weird to even, like, think of, years back, like, what my mentality was. But anyway, so you really need to have discernment, and what if you pursue dating or courtship, that kind of thing. You highly you need to be in prayer constantly, because people will try to trick you and fool you. You need to see those red flags that people will throw at you. um, because yeah, I was listening to this girl who tried one of the Christian dating apps, and everyone, the guys were like messenger, like, oh, please, please, let's have sex, or what I mean, like, all these things, like, yeah, let's hang out at my place, and what I mean, the girl's like, no, I want to wait until marriage. I want to do things right, kind of thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, 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 I respect that. But then they tried to get her, to hang out, alone, or, what I mean, like, that kind of thing. So, you really need to be careful. And, if I could do this all over, I'd, there's so many different, different advice I would give, but it's more difficult. It's so much more difficult. But, that being said, it's so much more rewarding. Like, I'll probably end on this thought, but I remember, like, having girlfriends, and like I was cheated on and stuff, and like, to even try to trust this girl that I was with, I was getting cheated on. Like, I couldn't trust her at all, and so I went from like her, and then years later, to my wife now, and like, I still took some of that with me, like, oh, I can't trust anyone, kind of thing. And it's so fulfilling and satisfying to have someone who you can trust, like, not worry that, what I mean, like, it's crazy. Like, I've had girlfriends in the past where I never did, but like, I would kind of want to like check their phone, kind of thing, because I didn't trust them, and that's, what a horrible way to live. You know what I mean? Like, that's a horrible situation to be in. And I don't know, like, in the past playlists I had with marriage and roles God gave us for men and women. Yeah, I made a statement where the best situation is to have a man and woman, like, who are believers and walking in the spirit and not in the flesh. That's the best case scenario. That, like, the most satisfying, fulfilling relationship you can possibly have. To kind of leave you guys in suspense, those are the things that I'll touch on later. How do we get that? You know what I mean? And how can we achieve that? So I'll leave it there. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.